Hello, everybody. Welcome to Extra Play. I have another special guest here, and we're going to play Invisible Link. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Geoffrey. I'm a designer at Undead Labs, and Invisible Link has basically been taking over my life for the past several months. It has an advantage because it's one of the only games that I can play with my baby son on my lap, because it basically only takes one hand. Like you can just all you need is a mouse.
All I've got is a mouse.
Well, that's perfect then, exactly. And I can play it with a Taylor Swift video on the other screen so that he can be entertained.
That's added value.
But I also actually happen to really like the game too for a lot of really good reasons that we'll
like
see.
Clay's stuff.
Yeah, no, they're very. I don't know. Their contribution to the industry has been phenomenal, especially for a company as kind of small and fly by night as them.
Operator, we have a delicate situation here. Decker found himself some trouble on his
Tutorial, of course.
Nice.
I haven't seen the tutorial in a long time.
I have not played this game yet, but I've been meaning to, so I'm glad we're finally getting to this. And I'm glad I've got an expert here who can show.
All right, yeah. So I won't necessarily know what it is that she is telling you to do, so I got to pay attention to what she's saying.
All right.
Sweat it out for a while, but we can't have this coming back on us. We're going to break him out. Incognito has activated his fail-safe neural uplink. I'm patching you through now.
So I often so you can hit the.
There he is. Wake him up.
I just click on him, I guess.
All right. Click.
Decker was captured. Again. Let's make sure he can walk.
Okay, so very XCOM style movement.
Yes. This is basic. People call this XCOM with spies. It's basically, it controls a lot like XCOM. It has a cover system, but the cover system it's not about getting whether or not you can get shot. It's about whether you can be seen.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's turn-based.
I like this already.
So instead of having two actions like you have in XCOM, you've got just a number of action points that
Get to the door.
That determine how far you can move, but also other actions like peeking around corners, being able to see through keyholes. Those all cost action points. So sometimes you're like, okay, I could charge into this room and get where I need to go, or I could peek first and then I can't get where I want to go.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of difficult decisions like that.
On the hallway. You'll have to manually check for hostiles.
All right, so I could peek, and I will.
It's
Okay.
unlocked. Get him out and be careful not to alert the guard.
All right. So then what I open?
Yeah, you can open the door. You can, if you try to walk through, he'll open it automatically. But opening and closing doors is actually a key part of this game. So if you click the open door button and then take one step into the room.
That still leaves me with 3 AP.
Yeah, and then you can close the door again behind you.
Oh.
You've got to remember to do that because the game will not remind you to do it. So a lot of times you're like, oh, whatever, this isn't important. I'll just run through this door and leave it open. And then they'll turn on a new security camera in that room that is now peeking right through the door. And now you can't walk back and forth through the room because there's a camera that can see you. So yeah, so I usually religiously try to close every door that I pass through because the cost of peeking in to make sure there's nothing new in there is very small compared to... let's see here. Oh, so they want you to steal first before you bother the guard.
That's reasonable.
And that's actually, that's a strategic thing. Like they really want you to learn that leaving guards alone is a good strategy.
I've been playing a lot of Metal Gear, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
I don't leave the guards alone in that game.
Yeah. So I stopped playing this for a little while and then came back to it when the expansion launched. And I'd kind of forgotten the rules, and so I played through on the medium difficulty level. I was like, oh yeah, I mean, they added a bunch of time to the campaign, so my characters got even more powerful, and I was feeling really good. Like, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing. And so I charged ahead into the expert difficulty level, and basically I just got annihilated. Like I lost 5 agencies.
Oh no!
Back to back because I kept trying to knock out every guard, and knocking out guards is actually really risky, as you'll see.
Ooh.
So you electrocute that guy,
nice.
And now he's got a number on him. So the number is the number of turns before he wakes up.
Okay.
And so you can run around and do other things, and he'll stay down there until that gets down to 0. Then he'll stand up and he'll start searching for you. Like he's not gonna, before he was just going to stand in that position forever.
Right.
Now he's looking for you once he gets up. But as long as you keep a guy standing on his back, The timer doesn't move.
Oh, so in this game later, you'll be controlling several people at once, right?
Yeah, you'll have up to 4 to 6 people under your control. So, but it's like you get into situations where you're like, oh, I have to take that guard down. I have to take that guard down. So you're leaving a trail of people behind you, pinning the guards, and you can drag their bodies around. So that sometimes I'll say, okay, I've got this character that I need to go send to do a certain job in a certain place, but I don't need it right now. So they'll just drag a guard with them very slowly to get to their destination, and they'll just have this little like hanger-on with them wherever they go.
I'm liking this. All right, let's see. Peek.
We're going to need power in order to hack this system. Jack that console for a quick boost.
The fact that there's no, you can see their little vision cones on the ground, even if they're not in sight. So because there's no vision cone ahead, you know that there's nobody watching, so you don't necessarily do, but there's another thing you do. So open the door.
Okay.
So open the door, and then, okay, that shows you a little bit more of the room. Now hit the eyeball again. Now you see the whole room.
Nice.
So you could have done those steps in any order, just deciding how much, like, that took you 2 AP though. It's free to open a door, but it costs to peek. So you're deciding how much of your AP you want to spend getting as much information as you can.
Oh, that's cool.
Because when there's guys, if there's a guy watching a door, he can see you through the door if you open it, or even if you're not standing in front of the door, like if you're on the side of the door, he can't see you, but he sees the door open, so he's going to come investigate.
All right.
There's just all these different things. So you learn how this world works, and then there's all of these different things you can plan ahead for. Like, okay, if I do this, he'll see this, and he'll come over here, and so then I can do this other thing.
Yay! I live in a city, so there's a siren.
Okay, so you've collected power from that console. Little consoles like that give you power, and then power is what lets you use your hacking abilities.
Okay.
So there's figuring out how you're going to get power.
There's my power. Okay.
Up there, yeah.
And money and...
And that's the button that's going to give you access to your hacking once you get to that point in the tutorial.
Cool.
You can also do that with, I think, the space bar, but I never do because you don't have to.
Sure. Yeah, I'm trying to stick with just the mouse
I have a baby on my
here.
lap all the time.
All right, well, let's peek. Ooh, that looks dangerous.
So I think that's a camera because of the shape of it. People usually have an umbra and a penumbra in their view, and a camera doesn't. So I think that's a camera.
Okay.
And so what that means is you're not going to get instantly caught the moment you open that door, but there is going to be a cost to it. So you can step to the side of the door just to make sure you're not caught in the vision cone.
Okay.
So like down to the.
I guess I couldn't in this turn. I've only got 1 AP, so.
But you couldn't do it.
So next turn then.
Yeah, that's true. So you could scooch over to the side, that side.
Oh, okay.
You can step there, and you can't peek again, but you could open the door if you wanted to get the advantage from that.
Okay.
So
let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. So vision cone doesn't come in, but next time you peek, so you can end the turn. Next time you peek, you'll be able to see the entire room.
All right.
So now you can see the camera. And so Incognita is the AI that assists your team. She does all the hacking for you.
Okay.
Well, at least initially she does. One of the things that's fascinating about this game is they come up with a baseline set of rules, like, your people, they run around, they collect power, they knock out guards, Incognita hacks things so then your people can use them, and then they come up with ways to violate all those rules. Like, actually, well, here's a device that lets this person hack in person. Here's an EMP device that'll take out things in a big circle around you. Here's another way you can get power that you normally can't get power.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, exactly. So it just gets... But all of that is introduced with equipment and mods, so you learn the baseline rule set with vanilla characters, and you just learn how it works, and then they just start throwing in new pieces of equipment that break the rules, and it gets really complicated by the end. But you're just eased into it step by step.
Oh, that's great. So, like, and the stuff that you are stealing as you're trying to get through here is loot a factor? Like, are the tools you find, like, specifically, like, drops or, like, stuff that you steal?
Yes, so there's random loot drops available in every level. But then each time you go on a mission, you're deciding what missions you go on, and each mission has got some special thing that it offers you that is better than normal loot. And so you decide which of those things you want to get. There's vaults that just give you a ton of money. There are... I forget what some of these are called, but there's ones that give you equipment, ones that give you hacking powers, ones that give you cybernetic augmentations for your characters.
Let's give him a reason to, shall we?
This whole little world they've created is fascinating, too. It feels a lot like Syndicate, actually. Like, this is sort of turn-based, non-murdery Syndicate.
Yeah, I can see that. So does the yellow little here, like, so it's their interest point, like it's their curiosity.
Yes, and you're actually, at some point, they're going to unlock the ability for you to click a button on the guy that shows you the exact path he's going to take to get there. But again, that'll cost an AP to find out where he's going to go.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, he's going to walk up to that, and then he's going to look both ways as soon as he gets there.
Okay.
And so you need to get somewhere where when he's standing at that point, if he looks at 180 degrees, he will not see you. Or you can just ambush him. So setting up traps like that is that's the main way you end up killing guys.
I'm stealing
Not
his
killing.
stuff.
He's unconscious.
Okay.
He's fine.
Now he's poor.
Yes, exactly.
So, moving on. All right. I suppose I should have introduced you better. Like, so you are a designer by trade.
Yes.
So what's your day to day? What do you like? What sort of thing do you do?
So I'm the lead designer on a project right now that is unannounced. So I can't give too many details on that.
Totally understandable.
But I don't know. For me, one of my sort of one of the holy grails that I've been chasing as a designer is the idea of procedural storytelling. You know, the fact that, you know, we've learned a lot over like eons of time. Human beings have learned a huge amount of stuff about how you tell stories to other human beings. From the Epic of Gilgamesh through the Greeks through the, whatever, all this progress.
Sure.
We made to now people write things like Save the Cat that are, this like step-by-step guide to telling a truly effective story. We've learned all this stuff about linear storytelling, but there is this sort of untapped area of procedural storytelling where you have, basically a computer acting as a collaborator with you to help you tell your own story.
Yeah.
And so the reason why a lot of the sort of procedurally generated roguelike style games, like Invisible Ink, the reason they're so fascinating to me is because every time you play through this process, there is a story that's being told, but all of the details are completely gameplay. They're not. This game is not really about this linear story they want to tell you. They've got a story, and it is. In this case, it is pretty linear, but so much of the process is just determined by the systems. And so for me, that's sort of like, we've spent a long time sort of coasting a little bit with video games on the fact that people who came before us have done all of this work learning how linear storytelling works.
Sure.
But there's this unexplored territory out in front of us, or at least underexplored territory out in front of us, where we need to figure out the new way that we tell stories with this new medium. And there's like places where people have come up with ideas, and they've tried things, and we've broken new ground in a ton of different ways. But we're still just barely scratching the surface. And so I just play the heck out of games like this because this really, this game is one of the ones that's sort of exploring that area. Now they're not trying very hard to actually tell us, like, to make you care about these particular characters and their personal struggles or anything like that. Like, they're not trying to do the stuff that an authored story does. But what they are doing is sort of they're experimenting with how a computer can construct an experience like this for you. Because this right here, this is a bespoke level that they've built just for this tutorial. This is the last one of these you'll have.
Oh.
Every other level is procedurally generated. That's
interesting.
That's one reason I've been able to play this game for so many times, because every time I start, I'm going to get a brand new set of characters doing a brand new set of things with a brand new set of abilities and in a new environment. Like, it's just completely new.
So is this kind of like roguelike in that way? Like it...
yeah, it is straight, including permadeath. If you lose a character on a mission, they're out forever. Ooh. You can recruit to replace them, but recruiting is actually a really rare and hard activity. You have to rescue people from inside heavily guarded compounds that only spawn now and then. And so that's really difficult. And then if you lose everybody, or if you fail certain really important objectives, then you just lose your whole agency, and you have to just start the story over.
Oh,
that story just ends, and you begin again. Which, like I said, I had to retire like 5 agencies in a row when I had forgotten how to play the game, because the game, it's really hard, and the consequences for your decisions are really real.
As you've described it to me, like, the best part about this game is basically when you get yourself into a situation that's really bad and almost impossible to get out of, but it's turn-based, so you have time to figure it out and find a solution and a way to get out, and you'll always get out by like the skin of your teeth. Yeah,
the thing that is so great about this is like you said, you are an extremely underpowered character. Usually you don't have a lot of like lethal options. You can't really kill guards very easily. Guards, you knock them out, but they'll always come back, and they get tough. The longer you spend in the game, the tougher the security gets, the more guards they add, and each guard that you take down gets more dangerous as soon as you finish taking him down. So it's just getting harder and harder and harder. But you've always got some hint like, no. If I figure out exactly the right series of moves to make, no matter how bad it gets, you always feel like you can get out. And if you play it for a while, you have those like tons of these experiences where you're looking at it, you're like, there's no way I've never seen it this bad. It has never been this bad. I am screwed. And then you figure, well, wait, maybe I can do this one thing. Because the guards, they knock your guys out, but they don't kill them permanently. And so even if you lose a guy, you could still drag them slowly across the entire map. And I've done that before. I had a game where I had just 2 characters, and they were in there, and one of them got shot, and we were all the way across the map from the thing. And all of the guards were alerted, were running all over the map looking for me. But slowly, step by step, I dragged one of the characters all the way across the map to the exit and got out with both of them. And then once you've done that, that success is every bit as good as if you'd succeeded with no problems. Like the character comes back to life. You've got all the stuff that you got all the prizes. It's great.
So this is the sort of procedural storytelling that you're sort of describing here, like a situation that was organically created by systems, in a way.
Yeah, and then the kind of story. So it doesn't give me a story where I'm like, oh, this character Natalia, she was struggling with these feelings and she wanted whatever. It's
sure.
You're not telling character stories. You're telling water cooler stories, which are still that's still an important kind of story. Like every game that you play, it's got sort of the fictional linear story that they're telling you, the authored story. And then it's got the water cooler story that is the story, where it's like, oh, you'll never guess what I did in this game last night. And for me, like that sort of holy grail that I'm saying I'm chasing is making those two the same thing. Like the water, like if I played, some game at night, then I wanted to come and talk to you about it the next day, and I said, oh, you'll never believe what happened in this game I played last night. But in order to have you understand what happened in my water cooler story, I have to explain who the characters are and what their motivations are. Because you won't understand it unless you understand the actual story that's being told. For me, to achieve a game where your water cooler stories are not just, ooh, I got this 360 no-scope headshot.
I played Just Cause 3 and then all the weird things happened.
Everything caught on fire. Like, if those stories actually had character development in them, I feel like we would have succeeded. Like that's where we've actually made games tell stories the way games were meant to tell stories.
I want that. That sounds great.
So we haven't. I don't think anyone has fully cracked that nut yet. But that's sort of that's what we're trying to do. That's what a lot of us are trying to do.
All right. So we're here now. We get to choose difficulty.
Yes.
What do you recommend?
I would recommend that if you were not playing with me, looking over your shoulder, telling you what to do, you should start with beginner. Because beginner, that's where I started.
Sure.
And basically, so if you can click on it now, and
it's what I would do if I was by myself. But I think we should create some interesting, and very unlikely to win scenarios.
So it gives you 5 rewinds, which means during a level you can play through a turn, then see what the enemy does, start another turn and realize, oh crap, I'm screwed. You hit the rewind button, it goes back to the beginning of the previous turn.
Ooh, nice.
So everything you saw the enemies do, and everything you did that made the enemies do that, gets rewound. And you can do that 5 times.
Okay.
And then you can also do, at beginner level, you can retry entire levels without losing all of your progress. So if you fail at a level, you don't lose your entire agency, you just go back to the beginning of that level, and then they regenerate that level from scratch. So it's not the same level again, but it's another try with the same people. You don't lose all of your
That's
stuff.
smart. So you can't just memorize and brute force your way through that way.
Yeah, you can never brute force your way through this game.
That's great.
So if you move up to experienced, you get 3 retries and no level retries.
Ooh.
3 rewinds. So the 3 rewinds, I've never actually needed much more than 3. That usually you kind of get the point that you're like, okay, let's just run for the exit because clearly everything's going wrong by the time you've used 3 rewinds.
Sure.
But they turn off the level retries, and then in expert, there's 1 rewind.
Just 1.
And that's not the only thing that changes, too. Things like how long guards are knocked out when you hit them, that goes down by at least a turn each of those difficulty levels you go up. So the default at expert is 2 turns. So basically, 1 turn for you to get away, 1 turn for you to close a door, and then they're already after you.
Wow, that's bad.
And then they give you things that let you give you injections you can give guards to keep them down for longer and stuff like that. But those become when I'm playing an experienced, those injections are available all over the place. I've gotten one since I've been playing Expert. And so they really want you to leave the guards up and just deal with their roots rather than knocking them out all the time.
All right.
But I would say let's start at Experience.
Let's do this.
Expert, I mean, like, seriously, I play this game all the time, and Expert still kicks my butt a lot. So, the art style of this is just fascinating.
It's really nice. I always love their art style, but this is like a bit of a step up in terms of fidelity for them.
Yeah, it's a new style, and it has a sort of 60s vibe to it, but it's futuristic cyberpunk. And I love that sort of, Fallout does a similar thing with sort of 50s style future post-apocalyptic. Yeah. When they take something like a touchstone from the past, but then make it the futuristic version of that. Like No One Lives Forever. This is kind of reminds me of No One Lives Forever.
I never got to play that, and now it's kind of hard to find.
Yeah, so I played like 5 minutes of it, I think, like on somebody else's machine one time, but I remember being impressed with their approach, what that game, the aesthetic that game put forward. So this one does something very similar, only kind of amping it up even more on the cartoony angle. So the level of screwed these guys are feeling right now is basically how you feel throughout most of the game. So most of these characters you're seeing are actually the characters you end up playing in the game. They have, they hint at technology, so they don't really make a lot of good use of. Not in a bad way, but like they have each of the characters that you unlock. They eventually unlock the archived version of that character, what makes you think they've got like a clone bank somewhere where they can reproduce these characters at different times in their lives. And so these characters, even if these characters die in this scene, somehow you get them back later.
Interesting. So is it always so the characters that they give you said that they give you different ones for like different campaigns and different runs. Are they all pre-designed characters?
They are all, so they all start as pre-designed characters, but they start pretty undeveloped, and so you've got a lot of room to branch them out from where they start.
Ah, okay.
And there's enough of them, because you can only have 4 in your party that you're maintaining throughout the game, throughout a given campaign. They so they're fleshing out your set right there. But there's actually like over a dozen characters. You never have the same combination twice, and it actually takes you a while to even play all of them even once.
Oh, wow.
Each time you start with only 2 characters, and then you have to recruit 2 more. So,
okay.
Since it's your first game, you only start with 2.
There we go. Cool.
So Decker and International, each of them has an alternate version, and then each of those characters, then they've got 2 versions of each of the other characters that are silhouetted over there. And then if you get the expansion, they add 4 more.
Cool. Okay. All right. So she's a little better at hacking. He's a little better at speed. Do they? I assume they grow.
Yeah. So you basically, the cash that you acquire, you can use it to buy things, like buy equipment for them, and buy cybernetic augmentations for them, and you can also use it to level up their skills. The same cash goes into everything.
Okay.
And then over on the right, you should check those out. I don't know if you've unlocked more than just those 2 to start. So we have a couple of options.
Oh, okay. I guess we should look at these then.
Yeah, so these 2 programs, these are the things that Incognita can do. So the top one is how you get power. So you can get power from the consoles, but you always have some other backup way to get power. And so you decide which one of them you're going to get. So Fusion is you spend some power up front, and then you get a drip of power afterwards.
Ooh,
but if you ever spend yourself down to 0, that thing gets useless.
I see. Okay. So it's that one and Power Drip are the 2 I've got, it looks like.
Yeah, and then Power Drip is a lot less power, but it's consistent, and you can't ever lose it, and you don't have to manually trigger it. It's just there all the time.
Okay. Do you have a preference when you play?
I prefer Fusion. Okay. Because the big you spend a bunch up front, but then you get those big doses of 3 power every turn afterwards.
Okay. Let's go with that. And let's see.
Lockpick. This is just a straightforward 2 power to unlock to take down 1 firewall.
Okay. So this is Incognita's.
And that might be the only one you start with, actually.
I think it is. Yes. So.
All right. So
let's use that one.
Let's use that one.
That's great. Okay.
And then begin.
Options,
that was the last screen.
Right. Okay. Begin.
And then.
All right.
It's just warning you how hard the game is. It's a disclaimer. The odds are stacked against you.
Yeah, they really are highlighting these key sentences.
Yeah, they just really don't want to lose you.
You will never win by force. The odds are stacked against you. Yeah, because you have a tough job. Okay, this seems like they're saying the same thing over and over.
Because, I think they're expecting that a lot of people will come to this game right off XCOM.
Sure.
And in XCOM, your idea is you're coming in and you're going to annihilate everybody.
Yeah.
And that is not how this game works. like you know, a perfect playthrough is one where you never even knocked out a guard. You picked all of their pockets, you ran all over the level, outsmarted them, and they never even knew you were there. That's a perfect playthrough.
Awesome.
Okay, so you got your world map.
Good.
They keep it simple up front.
Worked it out. Headquarters is gone. Most of our agents have been captured or killed, and our accounts all frozen. I don't know how the corporations found us, but you can bet they won't give up now that.
So when they're talking, you can skip them one line at a time with next, or you can skip the whole thing with the X.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
it's up to you how much of this you want to listen to.
All right, I'll let, for those of you who are wanting to actually play this later, I'll go ahead and skip it through so we're not so we can just look at more systems and stuff, but
So this is just reviewing what you already decided.
cool. Okay, got it all set to go?
Yes. So they start with just one. So at the top, hours remaining, 72. When that gets down to 0, your next mission is your final mission.
Oh, man.
So, and then they change it up a little bit in the expansion. They actually add an interim mission in between and then push off the final mission a little bit later. And so your first mission is always to go to the executive terminals and get a list of other places you can go.
Oh, okay.
And then later on, you'll still have executive terminal missions that let you go and like pinpoint certain mission types you want to get, stuff like that. But then you'll get a lot of other different mission types that'll let you decide to go recruit other people or
Sweet.
stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do this one next time. We will look at these objectives next time, and we'll embark on our first little mission. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun.